Kryptonians, welcome back to yet another recap and review of yet another episode of Titans, which aired yesterday. I decided to do my review a little bit sooner this time. This is episode 7, titled Bruce Wayne, and again, that is a spoiler warning for anybody that has not yet seen the new episode of Titans. Go watch that shit, because a lot of shit happens, and then come back to this video, because a lot of shit's gonna happen in this video too, because I'm gonna be talking about a lot of it. And you know that at the end of the last episode, Connor saved Jason's life after he got dumped off that building by Deathstroke after a really entertaining fight between Deathstroke and Starfire and Dick Grayson. Jason gets dumped off the building, Connor saves him, but then Connor gets shot by Kryptonite bullets, I guess, or I guess Kryptonite bullets, or bullets that have Kryptonite poison on them or something like that. So we start off this episode and Connor is inside Titan's tower recuperating. Nobody really knows what to do with him other than try to keep him as comfortable as possible because he still has the bullet stuff in him. He still has the Kryptonite poison. His skin is impenetrable because he's half Kryptonian. It was a pretty cool moment where he wakes up halfway through the episode and he starts yelling in Kryptonian, and then Starfire starts yelling back at him in Kryptonian. It's a cool little tidbit to let you know that Starfire does speak Kryptonian. She does call it a dead language. I don't know. I thought that was kind of a cool little tidbit. Right off the bat, this episode lets you know that it's actually about the Robins. It's like a trial of the Robins, both past and present. Jason Todd, played by Karan Walters, I mean, he's going through it right now. Like, he's made a lot of mistakes. His mistakes led to him getting kidnapped, and then he almost died. Think about how traumatic that must be for a kid, and I feel like we have to remind ourselves that some of these characters are still kids, they're teenagers, and that has to be a very traumatic experience. To be kidnapped by one of the most ruthless killers in all of the world, and then to be dangled outside of a building, and then dropped to your death. The only reason that Jason is still alive right now is because Connor was in the right place at the right time. Imagine if Connor wasn't there. A big part of his PTSD in this episode is there's a lot of recurring scenes of him standing in front of his mirror and staring out at the skyscrapers, and you see lights flashing in front of his eyes. That tells you that he is reliving the fall, and it's again, very traumatic stuff. Meanwhile, if you go over here, you look at Dick Grayson. Dick is going through a lot of stuff related to guilt because what else does Dick go through in the show that isn't related to guilt? Season 1, his whole thing was, no, I can't be Batman, and fuck Batman, and I'm a bad person, and I have to become a good person again. In this season, a lot of his issues stem from his recurring guilt that has to do with what happened to the Titans 5 years ago and what led to them breaking up. It's all about that secret that Dick keeps to himself that he doesn't share with anybody else, that I'm pretty sure only him and Deathstroke actually know. And everybody knows that anytime you keep something inside of you, it's corrosive, it eats away at you, and so that is manifested in this episode in the form of Bruce Wayne. Ian Glenn is back as Bruce Wayne in this episode. He's pretty much a hallucination that only appears to Dick throughout the episode, so he's in quite a bit of this episode. His whole purpose throughout the entire episode is pretty much just to talk shit and make Dick feel as bad as possible. I'm pretty sure he's operating as like his inner conscience. Such a sarcastic, sardonic shit talker in this episode. A lot of that dry ass humor that you only see in bits and spurts maybe from Batman, and here he just seems so much more mellowed out. Which leads me to ask the question, is this what he was like in season 1? Like, I feel like, are we retconning season 1? It doesn't feel like this Batman, this Bruce Wayne would have been like that in season 1 based on everything that Dick was saying and feeling about him. So Dick goes out to try to find Deathstroke on his own because he's always trying to find Deathstroke on his own. That's kind of what led to the situation in the last episode anyways. And while he's out searching for Deathstroke, Bruce Wayne is just sitting there, that invisible person just standing to the side and talking shit and reminding him of all of his failures. We all know the real highlight of this episode though. It's when he went to the club because he's looking for the girlfriend of Slade's handler, trying to track down Slade's handler so that he can find Slade. Bruce is up on stage and he's dancing, and okay, this is the moment where I don't know, I had a weird moment of cringe, but I also was laughing my ass off because it was awesome. Starts dancing on stage, and then I'm pretty sure that this is a homage to Adam West because he does the Batusi. You guys know what the Batusi dance is? The Batusi? This is where he does the, you know what the Batusi is, come on. Adam West dance from back in the days, and it was just awesome and hilarious and something I never would have expected in a show like this. Also might serve as like an indirect confirmation that maybe this version of Bruce Wayne is based on like a rated R version of the Adam West Batman. I would say one of the more entertaining subplots of this episode has to do with Starfire back at Titan's Tower trying to revive Connor and basically coming up with nothing until Eve and Crypto show up. I was worried that the scientist Eve might have outlived her usefulness on the show and that maybe the show was going to throw her away or something like that, but no. She essentially is being handed her walking papers in this episode. Mercy comes up to her and she's like, okay, well, Lex wants you out of the building within the hour. So basically they gave her an entire hour to do whatever the fuck she wants. I have no idea why security didn't just like immediately escort her off the premises, but no, they gave her an hour. So what would you do if you had an hour left to work at LexCorp? You would rescue Crypto, okay? That's what everybody would do because Crypto is such a good boy. She goes to rescue Crypto, she helps him by using his heat vision to like fry the Kryptonite collar, and then they are able to fly out of there. And it was really awesome seeing her and Crypto fly out of LexCorp. Or some people are gonna be salty because we see Crypto fly before we see Corey fly in the show, and okay, I get it. That's kind of a valid point. Speaking of Corey, though, we cannot forget about the MVP performance that she's had in this show so far. I'm not sure that there's been a bigger MVP on this show this year other than Corey. I mean, Corey shows up, is able to talk to Raven. She shows up to save Dick from Deathstroke, and now she, in this episode, finds out that she can heal Connor. When Eve shows up, Eve is like, okay, well, we need the sun, but we don't have the time or the means to get him to the sun. It'd be easier if we brought the sun to us. And then Corey's like, oh, what didn't you say so? Makes sense because Starfire's powers are kind of solar-based, and so you get to that scene where Raven is using her powers to try to contain it a little bit, and by the end of it, the bullet wounds have disappeared, they've healed, and Connor is right as rain again. That does kind of lead to an awkward meme moment where Corey is hugging him and he's completely ass naked. Rose does try to go to Jason's room in this episode to try to cheer him up. She tries to seduce him, she starts dancing, and it does make sense that Rose and Jason would gravitate towards each other since they're the bad boy and the bad girl of the outfit. She of course tries to seduce him with The Weeknd, I believe, and I believe it's a song called Party Monster, unless I'm wrong about that. I can't remember, but I can't remember the name of the song. I'm pretty sure it's The Weeknd. I guess that makes sense. I mean, The Weeknd does have a lot of songs that seem kind of seductive. Of course, if I'm trying to seduce somebody, I just put on Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings score. I mean, come on, that's like the most seductive music ever. Kissing and everything is great, but then obviously Rose finds the vinyl CD or whatever, the record that her brother had, and she obviously draws the conclusion, okay, my brother's been here before, somebody is lying about something. I'll be honest, this is the part of the episode where I'm just like, what the fuck? Raven goes to her room and she finds a whole bunch of crosses and shit that's like marked all over her walls and stuff. She immediately goes to Jason's room and starts yelling at him about what he did. I'm just sitting there like, wait, what? This is such a leap. Why would you think that Jason had anything to do with this? I'm just like, first of all, bitch, he just got done dealing with a very traumatic experience. You think that after that, he's gonna come home and then he's just gonna randomly out of nowhere do this shit to your room over some shit that happened like, what, 3 weeks ago when you almost killed him in a sparring session? Then it gets worse because then we transition to a scene where the other Titans are grouped in a kitchen because that's really all they've been doing all episode is just sitting in a kitchen and talking about their feelings. A bunch of weird stuff has randomly happened to the Titans in this episode. Donna finds the old orange soda that she and Aqualad were joking about before she pity fucked him the night that he died. Hank finds an old bottle of bourbon, which I guess could be alluding to him being an alcoholic, and it may be the old bourbon bottle that he used to drink. Don finds an old picture of a friend. It's put in the wrong spot, so they all immediately start ganging up on Jason. Bro, this is one of the absolute worst written scenes that I've ever seen in Titans history. Forget Titans history, this is just a poorly written scene in general. Like, it's bad. It's awful. It makes no sense why this scene is happening. These characters start ganging up on Jason and accusing him of doing all this weird shit, and I'm just like, what? It makes no sense why you guys would think that Jason would do this. Aren't you guys going to bat for him and willing to defend him against Deathstroke just a week ago, and now all of a sudden he's back? No one checks on him, no one tries to see how he's dealing with his issues, and instead you guys are gonna accuse him of some shit. It doesn't even make sense. I mean, think about it. Why would Jason know about all of those past things that the other Titans had in their rooms? He doesn't know anything about the past of the Titans. He doesn't know anything about what happened 5 years ago. Why in the hell would you guys accuse him of knowing about that shit and then doing random shit to like piss you off? It makes no sense. This is a part of the episode where we need the characterization to not match the plot because we need the plot to push Jason to the roof, which is exactly what happens. Meanwhile, Dick has already had his heart-to-heart with the fake hallucination version of Bruce, and he goes to the roof and he talks Jason off the ledge by confessing what a lot of us have already thought by now. He comes right out and says it. He says, I killed Deathstroke's son Jericho 5 years ago, and it's kind of one of those holy shit moments where you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop in the episode coming after this. The end, I think it just completely fumbled the ball at the 5-yard line, and we didn't get a touchdown because of it. I'm interested to see how the revelation of Dick possibly killing Jericho, what that does to the Titans, both old and new, and what Deathstroke's got up his sleeve coming into the episode next week. Please let me know what did you think about the episode in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.